it so many times, I know like exactly what everything in here can do. Oh, this thief's probably going to die in about 2 seconds because you can see Bill way at the top of the screen. But I may as well try. Shit. My golem just took 50 damage, so... If you play through a boss fight really slowly, always thinking about what you're doing, it should go pretty well. Oh, this... Hmm? Oh, right. My roommate's pointing out that I forgot to level my golem stats, and he has an extra talent, actually, because of that. What I'm about to do is going to seem very strange and crazy. But there's logic behind it. It's because I have the damage shield up, and I'm juggling back and forth between the my golem's HP and my HP, hoping to get down the length of time on refit golem. I'm not going to be able to kill him right now, I don't believe. Well, actually, I probably will, but this poor thief is dead, incredibly dead. And this is kind of why I like Alchemists. They can do strange things other classes can't with bombs. Because they are a very, very, very mobile class. Throw bombs has an incredibly low mana cost and cooldown. I'm going to turn on Halfling's Luck and keep throwing bombs at him. And eventually he's going to get worn down. I believe he's too close to use Rush, is part of why this works so well. Because an Archmage or something who's trying to phase door around will get rushed and then stunned and knocked back. Whereas this just sort of... Every so often his AI is going to get confused from the pillar dancing here. And that's just, yeah, see, spots like this, and then I throw a bomb, and then I run around more. After the first boss, you generally don't have to do this, but the first boss you run into is always going to be fairly difficult. He's very intense at the moment, and as the reason behind why you sort of have to do it is when you run into Bill, especially, you'll be level 3, and he's very, very hard to kill at level 3 with non-scummy tactics. Oh, I forgot to... And I just sort of leave my secondary stat points up until I figure out what I want to max, but magic is the only real thing you need with, there's the Rod of Recall, that's pretty nice. Magic is the only real stat you need to be successful with an Alchemist. And I'm going to use my orb thing here to see what artifacts I have. I found that last game too I was playing. It's pretty nice. Oh, that's actually really nice. I did not realize that whenever you get hit it does 15 blight damage. Someone just called me. I should probably check in a second. But you just sort of recall out at this point and then go on to whichever dungeon you like next. I do like going to Core Pool because there's a chance that he'll drop a really nice staff. Yeah, I forgot to refit my golem, so it's going to be annoying to get him back out. I rarely go to the town. You don't really need to. Well, this is going to be unpleasant. And shielding runes are nice for situations like that because they let you run around. You kind of have to keep an eye on the level of HP they have and things like that sort, and then your shielding will be back up. You just have to keep an eye on your cooldowns. That's why even though I use shift 1 through 4 to use all of my runes, I leave them on my thing so I can just look at the cooldowns and see when they're back up and use them immediately. Alright, and at this point I have a choice of... What I'm going to do is I'm going to put 1 point in extract gems so I can keep up a continuous supply of Alchemist gems, also because I'm not running anything besides iron yet, really, and I don't need anything better to extract gems. I'm going to get 1 point in Staff Mastery because it increases the damage Channel Staff does by a very large margin. It's 36% for 1 point. And then you have the choice between getting Acid Infusion to blind, or putting 1 point in it and getting more infusions, or you can just get 4 points and Alchemist Protection, which I don't really think to be very good. Or you can go over to Golem Power. What I'm going to do is actually max Fire Infusion, because it tends to, if I remember right, it does help out with the other infusions. Also because there's no mana cost on it. I mean, 30 mana is not very much, but if I wanted to use Heat or Fire Alchemy later on, I would want it. And I'll put 1 point into my Golem Power so that he can actually hit stuff more effectively. That's the main attraction behind it. The other valuable is the attack. And here you don't really have much choices, honestly. You kind of have to put 1 point into I-Beam and 1 point into the top ones, because an additional point of knockback does 15% more damage, whereas this has a 3-turn cooldown, and it's not like he's using mana for anything else, and does 20 damage. And he doesn't usually shoot you. I don't remember if it even does damage if he shoots you, because it happens so rarely. It also gives him a nice ranged attack. Here I am walking over traps. The most important thing about playing Alchemist is pretty much just targeting your bombs well. Of course, once your Golem gets up to about this level, you pretty much have to swap over every time you rest, because his HP regen is pretty pathetic until you get Runic Golem. And the second dungeon you do, if you do one of the other starter dungeons, is going to be pretty boring. They've added a lot of lore that I haven't seen yet. Oh, I actually have seen that one. That's been a while. Core Pool is kind of annoying because of all the pillars you run into. And so I really had no idea what was around me when I walked down, but I knew that I was level 7, and it was very unlikely for anything to actually hurt me. Also, if you take over your Golem, he will regen mana, and if you don't, he won't. Oh, that's Skeleton Mage. As you can see, you kind of have to keep an eye out, because even a degenerated skeleton warrior will hit you for about 50 damage sometimes. It's always a good idea to keep at least a few wild runes or wild infusions around in case you run into a bunch of assassins with Insidious Poison, because of how badly it affects your poison, or how badly it affects your regen.